right, welcome in everybody. As we're getting started, I'd love to see where everybody is here from. If you'll put a little hello and where you're from today. Iowa, I love it. Hello, Tiffany. Lewis, Augusta, Colorado, awesome. Oh, hey, Michael. I know you. I'm sure that happens all the time for people who are not from that area. All right, it's 4:27 in my time zone. So we'll get started right at 30 on the dot. Who here is going to family reunion? Raise your hands. Give me a thumbs up in the reactions. Is anybody here signed up for family reunion? Who here doesn't know what family reunion is? Okay, everybody. Liz, you do not know what family reunion is. Okay. So for anybody that doesn't know, this is awesome. It's such a cool thing. Family reunion is going to be happening in February. It's the 18th to the 21st in Anaheim, California. And it is the biggest Keller Williams conference of the year. And it's one of the best opportunities to get out, start networking, meeting a ton of people, learning from the best. And it's just, if you've never been to a conference, it's just one of the most energizing things that you can do. You go there, you learn, you get kind of drink from a fire hose from 3 days, and you just network like crazy. And it's what an awesome opportunity to build your referral networks, to build your knowledge base, and just get really, truly immersed in the culture. So that's what family reunion is. If you're not sure, or if you're like, oh, that sounds like kind of cool, talk to your market center leadership, because it is one of those things that if you are in this for the long haul, you need to make sure that you find a way to get yourself to family reunion. Some market centers have payment plans to help with trying to get tickets taken care of. And what I'll tell you is my first family reunion, I left with 3 referrals, and that pretty much that paid more so than for the whole trip. Talk to your leadership. Family reunions is an amazing opportunity. I don't think they're doing anything digital this year. If you can't do family reunion, get Mega Camp in August on your calendar. So awesome opportunity. Got a few more people coming in. It is 4:30. So everybody who's here, thank you for being here on time. We're going to get started. As Gary Keller used to do, it is 4:30 and we have an appointment at 4:30. Let me share my screen here and we are going to get started. All right, let me do this. And I'm going to open up the chat box, make sure I can still see the chats. Throughout, if you ever have a question, please raise your hand. You should be able to do that by, if you don't know, there's an option. It should be reactions, and then it should be like a raise hand option. So if you have a question, please raise your hand as we go through, and there'll be a lot of opportunities to ask questions. If you ever have a question, pop it in the chat. I will do my best to make sure that I can see those. If I'm ignoring your question in the chat, come off mute. So welcome everybody. We have, holy cow, we have 37 participants. This is amazing. 37 of you are here today to grow yourself, grow your business. And you know what? That puts you ahead of everybody else who isn't here growing their business. So first off, I'm proud of you for being here today, and I'm excited to see so many great faces. So welcome to Ignite After Dark. Who has been here since session number 1? How many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, lots of you. Amazing. I love it. Who is it their first time here today? Perfect. Fantastic. For anybody that it's your first time, I don't care what session you start at. If you start at 7 and you go all the way back through to 7, great. Make sure to just stick it out all the way through to where we're at. And everybody who has been here since the beginning, thank you for continuing to grow yourself, continue your business. We're going to get started here with our Ignite After Dark. So we are in the Grow Your Network. We're here growing our networks, right? We're growing our networks, growing our opportunities, and housekeeping things. If you haven't seen it, make sure to put your name, number, email, market center, and state in the chat box. And welcome to session 7, capturing leads with open houses. We've gone through sparking our career, embracing your job, connecting with your market, defining your value, generating your leads, growing your database. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Kind of everything from now on is about growing our database. Does anybody here know what percent of your database you should be able to convert year over year? Does anybody know? So statistically speaking, you should be able to convert about 5% of your database year over year. So if I want to close 5 deals, I need to have 500 people in my database. If I want to close 10, 200, so on and so forth. So what's your number that you want to hit for this year, that you have to hit, that you're going to hit? Well, whatever that number is, what is that 5% of? Hey, if I'm closing 12 deals this year, well, what does that mean I need to hit? So everything from now on, we're growing our database. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about capturing leads with open houses, talking about some best practices. We're going to talk about prepare, prospect, and pursue, which I like to call very simply before, during, and after. Our recaps and ahas, and we'll touch on the daily success system. Those are going to be some of the activities that you're going to have to do on your own, the lead gen, some of these opportunities. So before we get into capturing the leads, who am I? Who am I, this random person that's popped up on your screen today that you have to listen to for 2 hours? My name is Bowtie Ben. I'm a productivity coach in Denver, Colorado. And anybody who's closer and knows the area, I'm in Westminster, Colorado. I've been in real estate for 6 years. I currently coach about 50 agents. And this year I coach about 50 agents. And the reason specifically for this topic for me is open houses are my thing. It's the number one way that I tell people to get business, because it is cheap, it is inexpensive, it's fun, you get to be out there. And so my first year, 3/4 of my business came directly from open houses. Over the 6 years, I've hosted roughly about 1,000 open houses. And I've learned from some of the best. We have my first year in family reunion, the conference I was talking about. My goal that year was to find, hey, who are the people that have closed 24 deals in 1 year only from open houses? And I found 5 people who were able to do that. And I networked with them. I learned their system. It continuously grow my business so that I can grow and help others as well. We have a little thing called R&D, rip off and duplicate. So whatever you do, just make sure you're really good at your R&D in real estate. So over the years, I've closed hundreds of houses just from opens, and it's a great way to do it. The one thing to remember, and we'll talk about this more, is an open house is not just going and standing at the open. It's so much more than just that. So before we kind of hop into today, we have a little bit of a quote. Cool. So nothing about your business will have as big of an impact as the number of leads you have directly into that database conversation, right? So open houses are one of the best ways to build your database. So before we hop into today's topic, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Okay, fantastic. So one of the things we always like to begin with is checking in. Oh, John, yes. You'll have to unmute yourself, John.
Yes, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I was told that the classes started a little bit later than they actually do. Is there a way for me to go back and catch up on the classes that I've missed so far?
Absolutely. So classes are recorded, and I believe they send out the recordings every week. And if you need other recordings, please reach out to the person that has sent you the email. They will be able to get you some of those previous classes. I think that is correct. If I'm incorrect, if you'll please pop that in the chat. So yeah, watch out for the email, and they'll be able to start sending you some of those previous recordings. Okay, I was just told I was right. So there we go. Okay, any other questions before we move on to some limiting beliefs? One important thing, mindset. You're not going to get anywhere without the right mindset. So first thing, let's start with some beliefs. I don't have a listing to hold open, so I can't do an open house. So where do you guys think that you might be able to get some listings? You can pop in the chat, unmute.
Other agents in your office.
Other agents in your office. Fantastic. Where else?
If your office has a Facebook group, you could ask in there as well.
Fantastic. Where else?
Referral.
Yeah, totally. Referrals. Who has access to an MLS in their area? Everybody should have their hand raised, right? One of the best ways and one of the best piece of advice I was ever given was don't just rely on other people to find you an open house for you. Go and pick the open house. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is go to your multiple listing service. And if you can sort by office, great. If you can't, that's fine. Go to the MLS and say, hey, you know what? That's a house that I want to hold open. And you call that listing agent. And you say, hey, listing agent, my name is Bowtie Ben. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I just saw that you have that listing at 123 Main Street. It's a beautiful listing. And I wanted to see if you were planning on holding it open. Yes, no. Well, fantastic. So what I would love to do is I would love to hold that open for you. And they can say yes, they can say, there's some objections that you'll run into. But that's the best way to do it, is go and find the one that you want to hold, call that listing agent and say, hey, can I hold that for you? Now, I'm going to put one little caveat, and I will get your question in just a sec. One little caveat is check with your market center. Some market centers say that you cannot call outside the company. Some are fine with it. I've done open houses for Coldwell Banker, EXP, Remax, anybody that you can think of. I've held opens for all of them, and it just started out with, hey, can I? And they'd be like, well, you're not at my brokerage. That's fine. I still hold it open all the time, and I can do a great job for you and your clients. Go and pick the open houses, because when you pick your open houses, you know what the business and the traffic is going to be like. Now, the other piece of this is there's this crazy statistic that I've read a little bit ago. The average agent takes 56 hours to respond back to somebody. So if we are calling for open houses, it is not that agent's job to get back to us to say, yes, they can hold the open house. So part of your lead gen, if this is one of the things that you want to focus on, should be calling till you get an open house. You might call one person and you might call 40, but you know you're going to get the one that'll work for you instead of relying on the ones that are just easy pickings. Because when you get those easy pickings, you might not get a good open house. It just might be there. Does that make sense? I saw you took your hand down. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Perfect. So next, before I move on to the next belief, any questions about finding an open house? Yes, I don't know who said something, but yes.
Well, this, I guess, in the line what you're saying, from my understanding, there should be some verbal agreement with you and the listing agent that, hey, I'm doing this listing in return for all the leads that come through. Otherwise, that could be kind of, I guess, misinterpreted somewhat.
What I would say to that is any agent who you ask to do an open house for knows why you're wanting to hold the open. It's because I want to get business. Now, one line that I've used, and I don't give this up right away because I understand my value, but sometimes I really want to do it and I want to sweeten the pot. And I'll tell them, hey, something that I will do is if I find a buyer for your house at the open, so specifically if you find it for your house at the open, I will pay you a 20% referral. And I've done that. And sometimes people go, oh yeah, that sounds great. One other expectation I always set is, hey, I want to let you know is that even if the property still goes under contract, I am still holding the open. Because one thing that's terrible is I've done all this work, I've spent time, I've maybe even spent money, and now you told me I can't hold it. Well, if you set that expectation early, then you don't have to worry about that conversation. And hey, maybe you get a backup offer. Darn. But for that, yeah, I'd have a verbal agreement. I would also get something in writing, whether it's an email or a text, that says you do have permission to advertise that property, just to cover your bases. So good point, Tristan. Any other comments, questions about finding the open? Can you hold an open house with other brokers? Absolutely. And we're going to touch more on that in a little bit. Okay. Next limiting belief. I don't have signs yet. So talk to your market center. Hey, are there signs they can borrow? A lot of market centers have signs that you can borrow. Talk to other real estate teams in your office. A lot of teams have signs. A lot of offices have signs. And worst case scenario, go to Lowe's, find the cheapest signs, or the hardware store, find the cheapest open house signs you can find and buy some. Don't make a huge investment if you can borrow it from other people though. But talk to your market center, your teams, other agents, see where you can borrow signs from. Next question. Next belief. I may not know the answers to the questions visitors may have. So we're going to touch a little bit more on this later, but just start to prepare in advance. Prepare, do a little research, have a good conversation with the listing agents, and be very comfortable with this sentence. And this will help you just in every capacity. Hey, you know what? I don't know, but I'll find out for you. If you get comfortable with that sentence, you'll be covered almost always, because most people are okay with that sentence. Open houses don't really work because most people look online. I can tell you open houses work. Now, here's an interesting statistic. The percentage of houses that sell directly from the open house. Anybody have a guess on what that percentage might be? Oh, I think Crystal, yeah, unmute. All right. Yep. So if you can see her, she was holding up 1%, and that's correct. It's about 1% or less will actually sell from the open house. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't happen, because it will every now and then, but it's not very likely. So listing agents, when you say, hey, I want to hold it open, they know that that's not going to sell the house, but it looks good on them for getting that property marketed, can potentially get backup offers, and it can get business for the listing. So it's less than 1%, but open houses are not there to sell the house. You're there to get business, and you can get now and future business. And we're going to talk once again a little more about that. The other limiting belief is, hey, you know what? I don't think I feel safe standing there by myself for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, however long your open house is. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later as well. But the biggest piece is bring someone with you, and we'll talk about who you can later. So before we move on, any other limiting beliefs that come into your mind or that you think about when you hear open houses? Okay.
No one will want to talk to me.
No one will want to talk to me. Great. Guess what we do? We force them to talk to me. I have a controversial talking point here, and it's that for starters, everybody that comes and signs in, and if they don't sign in, they don't come in. In my thousands of open houses, I've turned away 2 people. The next thing is I have a little sign at the door that says, if nobody's here to greet you, please wait by the door. And most people are really good at following signs. I go up to them and I say, hey, welcome to the open house. You out shopping today, or do you happen to live in the neighborhood? And we have a little rapport there. And then afterwards I say, hey, well, let me give you the grand tour. Or I don't even say let me. All right, well, I'm going to give you the grand tour. And I start walking them around. They force them. So people, maybe they don't want to talk to you, but guess what? I want to talk to them. And that's all that matters. What other limiting beliefs or anything that comes to your mind? You can pop in the chat or come off mute. We're going to start with our first piece of the agenda, capturing leads with open houses. So first thing, who benefits? Okay, the sellers benefit. Why? It markets their house. Could it get it sold? Yes. It's not super likely, but it's at least going to benefit the seller because it's marketed, it's pushed out, and the market has shifted a little bit. Has anybody heard that sentence? The market's changed a little bit or even seen it? It is not the same market that it was 1 year ago today. And that's okay. Right? It's actually, I don't know, I kind of like this market a little bit more. It's kind of fun to work with buyers again. So the next people are buyers. Buyers can benefit. Why do buyers benefit? Well, they can see houses without being qualified, without having to do research. They can just walk in. Neighbors, well, neighbors get to see what's going on in the neighborhood. They get to meet a great agent. They get to see what's going on. Hey, if I might get that kind of traffic at my house. Fantastic. So, and then you are the other one that benefits, because once again, we are looking to build our database. Here are some of the benefits of doing an open house. Okay. First piece, they're inexpensive. You can do open houses for close to nothing. Now, there are things that you can do that'll cost a little bit more, and we'll talk about those in a bit to help with getting the open house and promoting and everything, but they're one of the cheapest forms of lead generation. Okay. It's a great prospecting tool. Once again, high return on investment. If there's very little investment, maybe if I want to go and invest in signs, fantastic. I'll go and invest in signs, go buy some signs. Outside of that, maybe some flyers that I got to print. That's like maybe $5, $10. And then you get to qualify your leads right then and there. The other piece of this is, like I said, you're building that now and future business. So when you come to an open house, you can get 1 of 4 leads. Okay. Any guesses as to what the 4 potential leads are? This is not a trick
Buyer,
question,
listing,
by the
and
way.
referral.
Buyer,
Okay. Buyer, listings.
referral,
Okay. Well, maybe we could get referrals. So I would put that as number 5. So buyers, what kind of buyers?
First home buyers.
First home buyers. I'm going to get real specific. We've got now buyers
And future.
and future buyers, now sellers and future sellers. Everybody that comes in is one of 4 leads, one of those 4. They're either now buyer, now seller, now future buyer, future seller. Hey, you know what? I'm out shopping today, or hey, I just live in the neighborhood. I'm not selling. Hey, great. You're a future seller for me. Everybody that comes in can go into your database. We are growing, and the best way that I find to figure out who they are of those 4 is I ask this question everybody when they come in. Are you out shopping today, or do you happen to live in the neighborhood? And the way they respond to that question answers which of the 4 they are. Yes, I'm out shopping today. No, I'm just looking today. Yes, I live in the neighborhood. Yes, I'm out shopping and I live in the neighborhood. Whatever they are saying, the way they respond to that tells me which of those 4 they are. Before we move into some of our best practices, what ahas, what have you heard so far that's standing out to you?
Calling agents with different brokers.
Yeah, call whomever. What else? Let's hear we have 52 people here. I want to hear 3 other ahas. 4 other ahas. All right, 4 leads. Yeah, 4 types of leads.
When you said if there's no one there to greet you, wait and I'll come to greet you.
Yeah,
I thought that was smart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
printout sign. You just put it right by the door.
And no sign in, no walk in.
Yeah, and here's the thing: we don't ask. Okay, when we are having them come in, it's not, "Hey, would you please sign in?" If we have somebody a yes or no, what are they going to say?
No.
Correct. So it's not, "Hey, would you please sign in?" It's, "Hey, I need you to sign in here." Or, "Hey, because of the sellers, I need you to sign in here." And when I tell, most of the people are like, "Oh yeah, okay, Now somebody's like, "I don't want to sign in." Hey, you know what? Because of the seller, I need to protect the sellers. I have to have you sign in, or else I can't walk you through. I don't even have to have that sentence most of the time when I'm telling. So I love that. Thank you, Lori. All right, 2 more. There are no other ahas from this first portion.
How simple it was to set up an open house.
Yeah, it's so simple. All we got to do is ask. And what we like to do is do something called building your bench. So when you think you've got a bench of agents who, after a while, they're going to start trusting you to hold it. So after a while, they're going to start calling you instead of you calling them. All right, 1 more, and then we're going to move forward.
I like the idea of calling the house that you want to, seeking out the house that you would like to do an open house and calling other agents. That was a good idea.
You will notice an exponential difference when you pick it outside of having to just pick what's given to you.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Belinda. All right, so we're going to move into some best practices. So first thing, we got to set goals. So in the 6 personal perspectives, which hopefully you've heard up to this point, we want to be purposeful, not entrepreneurial. So we want to set our goals. So what does a goal look like for an open house? Well, a goal could look like, hey, how many people am I adding into my database? A goal could look like, hey, I want to hold 3 open houses a week. A goal could be anything. One of the things that I do for my open house, my goal is to add 2 people into my database for every open house. Now, as a reminder, the open house is not just standing there for, my 2 hours. All right, and then can't hold an open house because I don't have any clients in that price range. Great one, and I'm going to come back to that. That's great. For every open house, I want to add 2 people to my database. Okay, because once again, I'm looking at, hey, if I want to convert 5% of my database, if I want to close 10 homes this year, well, I need 200 people in my database, and I'm planning to hold 2 open houses a week. Well, if I want to do 200 people, 5%, 10 homes. So I'm going to add 2 people into my database from every open house. So what are your goals? Okay. Next thing, we've already talked about this in great detail. Pick the house. Now, when we're looking at the house, other things to consider. Hey, how many homes have sold in this neighborhood? What's the traffic going to be like in this area? Is there a really busy street that people are going to drive by and be able to see my signs? What is the, is there any kind of turnover ratio, or is there one group that's really busy in this area that maybe I don't want to compete with? So pick your house. Prepare and practice. So this one is super, super important. So first off, before you hold an open house, prepare a list of questions that you think might be asked. Hey, what might they ask about the house? What might they ask about the area? I'll do a little research. Spend an hour. Don't spend more than an hour though, right? We don't want to plan. We just put some time into that to think about what's going on in the area. What do I need to do? Hey, do I need to print out some MLS sheets to have with me? Yes, you do. Bring some with you so you can give them to the listing, to anybody walking through. What other materials might I need to bring with me? One thing I'm going to share before we finish up today is I have a drive folder of a
Yes.
lot of my resources that I use for open houses, as well as an open house class that I also teach, which has
Answer.
this as well. Next piece, picking the time. All right, here's my favorite question that I get all the time. And I want some of you to chime in what you think the answer is. When is the best time to hold an open house?
Or late mornings, early afternoons.
Late mornings, early afternoons, great. I like that answer. Weekends, that's also a good answer.
I like doing them between 1 and 3 or 2 and 4
Fantastic. And is that on a weekday or a weekend?
weekend. For myself.
Fantastic. What else?
Sometimes doing it like on a Thursday or Friday from like 4 to 6 or 5 to 7, because people are coming home from work, and that way it frees them up on the weekend.
Totally. So here's what I just heard. Mornings and afternoons, Thursdays, Fridays, 1 to 3, 4 to 7. Here's the real answer. And it sounds like a cop-out answer, but I've got things to back this up. The best time to hold an open house is when you're holding it. And here's what I'll say on that. Saturdays were my days. I held them from 12 to 2 on Saturdays, no more, no less. I used to do Saturdays and Sundays, but I didn't like Sundays. I never got any traction, but I got traction on my Saturdays. I averaged between 20 and 50 people. Now, one of my agents that I coach, he will never touch a Saturday again. His Saturdays were always dead. Nobody came through, but his Sundays, those were his days. I have another gal. She will never do an open house on the weekend again. She does them on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Wednesdays, she does them from 12 to 2. Thursdays, she does them from 3 to 5. And Fridays, she does them from 4 to 6. Okay, those are the days that she finds the best. And here's what it means is the days that you're going to find are the best for you. One are the days that work with your schedule, right? Hey, if I'm dual career and I can't do it on Saturdays, well, great. I'm doing them on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Hey, if I can't do it at this time, great. I'm doing it at that time. Things to consider, though, when you're picking your times are what's happening at those times, right? As it was already stated before, hey, the driving times. What about school pickup and drop off? What if I did an open house from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday? Kids are being dropped off. Hey, you know what? I'm driving by. Why don't I just stop by that open house real quick? What if it's on, garage sale times? Has anybody out in here gone garage sailing? You know how early you have to get to those garage sales to make sure you get the good stuff? You have to be there at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. People are garage sailing out early. So pick the time that A, works with your schedule, and B, figure out what's going around in the area at those times. The other piece I'm going to say with this, though, is consistency. You have to make sure that whatever you do, you're consistent. You can't say, I'm going to do this one time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I did a Thursday at 4 and nobody showed up. Well, we don't know what was going on in that. Maybe you try a different day, but you have to try things consistently. Once again, just prepare. Know your market. Hey, do a quick search on what's going on in the area. Fun fact, you have a KW app. If you haven't downloaded it, download your KW app, but you can also go to your KW website and just search the address of your house, and you can get stats real quick for that neighborhood. What's the average home price? What's the average sales? What's the average days on market for that neighborhood? It'll take you all of 2 minutes to try and figure out. So utilize your systems you already have, your app, your websites, all of that. Okay. Finally, be safe. So here's the thing. We want you to be safe with an open house. So when I talk about bring someone with you, who could you bring with you to an open house?
A lender.
A lender, absolutely. Get them pre-approved at the open house. Who else?
You can bring another agent, or you can bring your spouse.
Absolutely and absolutely. Another agent. Now, if you bring another agent, you share your leads. You got to be respectful of each other. If we think in abundance finds us. If we bring a spouse, they can still show people through the house. They can still build rapport. They just can't talk specifics about real estate, right? They can walk them through and then say, the person asks a real estate specific question. They say, great, you know what? Hey, Bowtie Ben over there, he actually knows all of that. Why don't you hold for a moment? And when he's done, I'll send you over. It's a great way. Bring a spouse. Who else? You can bring any of your vendors. You can bring your electrician, your roofer, your title, your whomever. Who are you trying to build a relationship with? That if you invite them to your open house, maybe they bring something. Maybe they have an event that they're doing. Bring anybody. Because let's say more than one person comes in at a time. You show around one, the other person shows around the other, and you're always there building rapport, building the database. Park on the street. Make sure you know where your entrances and exits are. Make sure your cell phone is fully charged or you have a charger. Make sure when you're there, you turn on all the lights. Do check your local COVID guidelines. If anything changes or anything in your area is specific, make sure you follow those. Respect the rules, whether you like them or not. Make sure you respect them. And then also make sure you're following your market center guidelines. One of the specifics of that, of course, if your market center says, no, you're not allowed to call to other companies, well, then just look up Keller Williams. There's got to be more than one Keller Williams, in the area that probably has a listing that you can utilize. And in reference to the question about the Command app, so I'm actually talking about your branded mobile app. So if you go into Command, you'll actually be able to find a portion to talk about your mobile app. What I would say is if you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I get my branded app? Talk to your market center tech trainer. If you don't know who that is, talk to your director of communications, your team leader, your productivity coach. Make sure one of them can get you in connection so you can get your branded mobile app, which is also your digital business card. So going about our preparations or just some of the things going into it, what ahas do we have? Let's hear 3. Sorry, Nick, you first, and then Denisa.
I would say bring in a vendor to the open house.
Yeah, definitely. Bring a vendor. Strengthen those relationships. Denisa?
Oh, and I was going to say being able to possibly, bring a spouse or someone to the open house to just show the home, and then you actually answer the real estate related questions.
Absolutely. You could even bring a best friend. Hey friend, I need someone to come help me. Will you come and help me practice? Or come to the open house? Absolutely. One more.
This time is the time you hold it open.
Exactly. And
it was the perfect.
And here's the thing with that response as well, that really follows to any kind of lead generation. Hey, I want to call expired listings. I want to call for sale by owners. I want to whatever. The best time is when you're doing it. Yes, I know technically for some of those, there's technically a best time, but you know what? That doesn't work for everybody. So the best time at the end of the day is when you're doing it. So thank you. All right, let's keep it going. Next, prepare, prospect, and pursue. We love our alliterations at Keller Williams, don't we? Prepare, prospect, and pursue. The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus. I love that. How does that apply to holding an open house? What do you think?
With the follow-up time or after the open house?
Yeah, absolutely. What else? How else?
How ready you are for the open house.
Definitely.
And like what you said too, Ben, preparing and making sure that you kind of do your due diligence before you do it.
Definitely. We're going to talk about preparing, prospecting, and pursuing. So our preparing, first off, I would say 80% of the work for an open house is done before the open house. 80%. Okay. So first thing, we're going to prepare our mindset, practice our conversations. Guess what? We need to get on our scripts and role play. If you don't have a scripts and role play at your office, guess what? You need to find a person to scripts and role play with. And if you don't have somebody, if you are looking for a scripts and role play partner, do me a favor, pop your name and phone number into the chat right now, and then message that person. Find somebody to role play with. Role play does not mean I'm going to practice once and call it good. Okay. Role play is a consistent, everyday thing. So find someone to practice with, and it may not always be the same person every day. My scripts, I'll tell you, my scripts are really good. And the reason my scripts are really good is I've practiced every day for 6 years. Practice, practice, practice. Practice does not make perfect. Okay. Practice makes persistent.
Do you offer to be a script practice partner?
So I actually run the regional scripts for Colorado. So if you'd like, I can we're starting back up next week, but I can pop our Zoom link in the chat.
Yes, perfect.
And it's
Thank
every
you.
day. So we do ours every day from 8:30 to 9. So at the end, I'm going to post a couple things in the chat before we end up. One of them, I'll post our Zoom link. That'll start next Monday is when we're starting it back up. We took a little break for the holidays. So here's the open house preparation. And this is actually great because they actually took this from one of the top teams in real estate. Every new team he opens up, he starts with this open house plan. When you do an open house, don't just say it's Friday and I'm doing one Saturday. Give yourself 5 to 7 days to prepare. Because if you're not giving yourself 5 to 7 days to prepare, you're not doing everything to set yourself up for success. So we're going to pretend that we're doing an open house on Saturday. First thing we got to do is we got to select our open house. So my Monday, guess what? My lead generation for 2, 3, 4 hours, I am calling till I get that open house. Okay. If I get it really quickly, well, then my lead generation shifts a little bit. Tuesday, got to make sure it's posted online. I'll walk the neighborhood, or I'll at least get an idea. Maybe I'll do a Google walkthrough of the neighborhood, and I'm going to start inviting neighbors to the showings. Okay. Something you can add in here is if you want to spend money, which I'm a proponent of don't spend money until you've made money. But if you want to spend it, you can start sending mailers.
What's up?
And you can do those directly from Command. So you can do some mailers. You could even do like a Facebook ad through Command. Spend $20, $30, do an ad. If you're going to do that, do it on Tuesday. Don't do it any later. If you do it after Tuesday and your open house is Saturday, for mailers, they're probably not even going to get there before the open house. Okay. Wednesday, we're going to post it online again. So we're going to make sure it's on social media, make sure it's the MLS, make sure it's in Zillow. And we're going to put a sign in the yard, and it says open house with the date and time. Put it in the yard so people can drive by it all week. Thursday, we're going to post it online. We're starting inviting our database. So we're going to invite our database. And what this means is everybody that now comes to an open house, we're putting in Command. We are tagging them with the tag open house. You could tag them with the address too, if you'd like. That's up to you. But now part of my lead generation is calling. Hey, Joe, I just wanted to let you know we're actually having another open house over at 123 Main Street. I know that's not an area you were looking in, but I wanted to invite you in case you want to check it out. What does that do? It helps you touch, stay consistent, stay top of mind with those folks. Even if they don't go, they'll still appreciate the invite. Holy cow, you're doing a lot. You've called me 3 times this month. You do a lot of open houses. Yeah, I work hard to be a great agent for folks like you. Okay. At Friday, we're posting it online. We're preparing market stats. We're printing flyers. We're door knocking. Okay. And a minimum door knock 25 doors in either direction of the open house. Okay. So it's 50 doors, 25 doors in either way. Now, you can do either 25 doors in either way, or you can knock till you hand out 25 flyers. Those are 2 very different days. 25 doors, I could talk to 10 people. But if I'm knocking till I hand out 25 flyers directly, I might be out there longer. I might even knock on more than 25 doors. So decide, what is my lead generation going to look like? Those are 2 very different days. Guess what? If it's cold, you can still door knock. One of our big people in Keller Williams, a lady named Diana Kokoska. Has anybody here heard that name? No? Okay. Well, so Diana Kokoska is the founder of a program in Keller Williams called Bold. And she started out her business by door knocking completely. Didn't matter if it was hot, cold, wherever. She door knocked, and she door knocked 100 doors a day. And she built her business. She got listings, she got buyers just by doing that. So decide what your day is going to look. What do clients want to know? Well, they want to know some neighborhood information. Like I said, do an hour's worth of research, see what you can find out. Hey, what are turnover ratios? How often are homes being sold? Is there anything a first-time buyer might want to know? Is there any first-time buyer programs that you can offer? What's some information? Keller Williams actually just wrote a book, and it's called, I think it's like the First-Time Home Buyer. And it's a great book that you can offer or share with people. So, or just something to read so you have that information to prepare. Okay. Mortgage information. What's the best way to potentially have mortgage information at an open house?
Lender.
Exactly. Have a lender there. You can have a lender pre-approve people at the open house. Good. I have to read this verbatim because they told me to. So, pursuant to RESPA, Keller Williams agents / associates must provide an ABA disclosure to the consumer at or before any referral is made to Keller Mortgage. More information on RESPA and the ABA disclosure can be found here or at that link. Pretty much, if you're going to tell people about Keller Mortgage, don't tell them that you're getting any kind of benefit. You're not. It's just a resource that they get because you're a Keller Williams agent. If you don't know what Keller Mortgage is, it's an awesome program that we have through Keller Williams. Keller Williams bought a mortgage company and decided, hey, let's do zero lending fees, $1,000 back at closing, and competitive rates. So if you want to learn more about Keller Mortgage, you can just Google Keller Mortgage, talk to your market center. It's a great resource for potential buyers. Okay, next thing is prospect. So we have to build trust and rapport, okay? So as we're walking people through, this is the opportunity where we're gonna build trust, we're gonna build rapport. Have we talked about the Ford conversation at all here over our last 7 weeks? So for anybody who hasn't heard, what does Ford stand for?
Family, occupation.
Somebody help him
Yeah,
out.
with the-
Recreation.
Recreation and desires. That's what it is.
Desire, dreams. desires.
Exactly. So Ford, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a different tangent for just a second here. Ford is the best conversation you can get good at because Ford helps you build rapport. It helps you learn about people. It doesn't matter where you are, you can Ford anybody. What is everybody's favorite topic?
Themselves.
Exactly. Everyone's favorite topic is themselves. So if you go through your Ford and you use this sentence, it's the best 5-word sentence. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Okay. Hey, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. Oh, that's great. Tell me more about that. What's going good? Oh, you're interested in a house? Awesome. Tell me more about that. So if you use that sentence and you follow this rule to dig 3 questions deep, you're going to build a lot of rapport with people. So, hey, you out shopping today or you happen to live in the neighborhood? Oh, we're kind of just looking today. Oh, awesome. Tell me more about that, so on and so forth. Well, great. Well, here, I'm going to show you around, or I'm going to give you the grand tour. We start walking around. So do you happen to live close by? Oh, we've lived in this area for a little while. Great. Tell me more about that. Well, I don't know. We've lived here for 5 years. Fantastic. What brought you out this way? Digging deeper. Asking great questions. So using the Ford as you're walking people through. Yeah, you can talk about the house, but in reality, do we really need to say much about the house? Hey, well, here's bedroom number 1. Here's bedroom number 2. Here's bedroom number 3 and the kitchen, which has not been updated at all. Right? We can talk about that, but in reality, we're here. We're going to talk about them. We're going to learn about them. We're going to become best friends. We're building rapport. We're prospecting. We're providing value. So as we're providing value, what do we have for them? What information? Do we have a flyer? Do we have a smart planning command that can give them a biweekly report on the neighborhood? Yes, we do. It's Michael.
Hey, what does Ford stand for again? You said family, occupation, and what was R&D?
Recreation and dreams.
Got you.
And I've popped it in the chat in case anybody else needs that as well. Thank you. We're providing value. We've got a smart plan in command. If you've not learned about smart plans, it's a great opportunity for you to go in. If you go to command, go to the smart plans tab, go to the library and find the ones that Keller has made. It's a really cool plan that it sends them a biweekly or monthly report on the neighborhood. So you've got lots of value you can provide. And then we're going to capture their information the moment they come in. Yes, some people are going to give you fake information. Yes, some people might not fill out the information completely. There's some ways around it, some ways not around it. What I do though is if I notice somebody hasn't filled out my thing completely, what I do after they leave is I go and I write in the spot that they didn't fill out, and I put a little asterisk so I know that it wasn't real. Because if people see that they're empty spots, they know that it's okay. Okay. Now for sign-in information, here's my biggest recommendation: name, phone number, email, and address. I have found that people are more willing to give me their address than their email. I've got more addresses than emails in my database. Okay, name, phone number, email, address. You can put in the looking to buy, looking to sell. You can put that in there. And if you want a sample sheet, when I pop my resource link in the chat here in a little bit. You'll be able to, you can use the one that I've got right there. Okay. So we're qualifying them. We're talking to them and we are learning about what it is they need or want. Finally, we're building trust and rapport. We're greeting everyone that comes in, engaging conversation, be positive. I jumped ahead a little bit before the PowerPoint, so I apologize. Capture information, okay? Use the KW app. Once again, it's a great way to get people's information, okay? Also, here's a really important thing. Remember, you are there to get appointments. So before you leave, there's an important question that you ask every single person before they leave. It's a simple question. What do you think it is?
If they have an agent working with them.
That's a great question. And that, it's an important question. It's not the most important question. I am going to talk on that one real quick. I don't ask if they have an agent. I say, have you already signed with a great agent? Did you know like 60% of agents don't sign their buyers? It's crazy. If they haven't signed, guess what? They're free game. But so it's a great question, not the most important. What else might be the most important question?
If they have an approval letter.
That's a fantastic question. A great question to ask. It is not the question.
What are you doing next Tuesday night at 5 p.m.?
Ooh, that is a great question. And you know what? If you asked that instead of this question, I wouldn't even be mad. Here's the question. Do you want to buy this house? And here's the reason. So I got this from a MAPS coach years ago. And the moment I started asking this question, it changed everything. So you don't even have to ask it in a salesy way. So, you're walking through and you say, oh, what do you think? Do you want to buy this house? And what do 99% of the people say? No, I don't. Right? They're not there because they want to buy that house most of the time. They're there because they're like, I saw an open house sign. So they say, no, I don't. So then the follow-up is, okay, fantastic. So what would you change about this house that make you want to buy it? Well, the bathroom's too small. The main bedroom is, not quite what I wanted. I didn't have a big enough backyard. Actually, I was looking for a townhome, whatever. That's interesting. So let me ask you this. If I found a house that, insert what they just said, is that something you'd want to talk more about? Yes, no. If they say yes, fantastic. Then we throw in Lori's question. Great. So what are you doing? And I'm actually going to make it a little bit sooner. My open house is on Saturday. So, hey, my open house is done at 2. What are you doing at 2:30 today? If they give me pushback, then, hey, are you open on Tuesday or does Thursday work better for you? And if they say no, I say, okay, well, so tell me more about what you're looking for. Tell me more about that. Do you want to buy this house? No. Great. So what would you change about it that make you want to buy it? That's a great opportunity to listen and set the appointment right there, right? Hey, the open house is done at 2. What are you doing at 2:30? Do you want to meet in person or Zoom? Don't push Zoom away as a potential option. Zoom is an amazing resource, and I can build just as much rapport with you on Zoom as I can in person. I will tell you, I do 90% of my buyers' appointments on Zoom anymore because people want it. If they want to meet in person, I will. So, Nick, I saw you came off mute. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry, that was a mistake.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure. I can only see the people that are on my main screen here.
I came off mute and I have a question.
Perfect. Thank you, Sherry.
You said if I found the house, so the first question was, do you want to buy this house?
Yes.
The second question was, what would you change about this house to make you want to buy it? The third question was a follow-up to whatever their response is. So if I found you a house that has a bigger backyard, has more bedrooms or whatever they say, when will you be available to see it? What's the follow-up to how do you end that question?
Great question, Sherry. So let me ask you this. If I found you something that, insert their verbiage, is that something you'd want to talk more about? And, from there, they'll answer yes or no. If they say no, then we got to dig a little bit deeper, right? We got to use that, tell me more about that. Okay, totally understand that. So tell me more. When are you looking to get into a home? Or what is it that you're looking for? Or, whatever the right question feels in that moment. If they say yes, then you say, great, you set the appointment. Tiffany, that's a great question. And I ask it if it feels right. If I've had that rapport built, a lot of times I may not even ask that question until I get to the appointment with them. It just kind of depends on where we're at in the conversation. So sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I hope that answered your question. Do you want to buy this house? I'm not kidding. When I started asking that question, I started getting more appointments. And it's a simple question. Now, the next follow-up could be, hey, I'm not so sure if I want to. I might then throw in okay, well, have you already signed with a great agent? Yes, no. If they say no, okay, fantastic. Well, great. What are you doing next Thursday at 4? Or what are you doing here? We have another thing called the herd theory. And I know I'm going off a little bit here. The herd theory is we like to follow the herd. We like to hear what other people have done. Some people call this feel, felt, found. And it goes like this. Hey, you know what most people in your situation have found helpful is to meet with me and go over the process, it's a great way to help set the appointment is using that herd theory. Hey, what most people in your situation have found helpful is to ... If that's meet with you, if it's to get pre-approved, whatever that blank is, you have to figure out what that fill in the blank, but it starts with, hey, what most people find helpful is to this. And that helps you set a lot of appointments as well. Any more questions on that piece before we move into the next bubble here? The next piece is pursue. Okay, so after we've done our open house, if we have any appointments, great, we're going to those appointments. Otherwise, we are putting everybody that has come through into our database. You're going to command and you are putting them in. Hey, this is Bowtie Ben, and here's his number and here's his email for his I don't put it, for his address. If I have it, I'll put it in. If I don't, I'll just put the address of the open house. I'll tag him with open house. Okay. I am following up with everybody either the next day or the next business day. If I don't get in touch with them, guess what? I'm following up with them again and again. And hey, remember those 5 steps? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It was called the database. Guess what? I'm following up with them again and again. We follow up until they block our number, right? The food is in the follow-up. And I'm going to throw a little pain into this as well, okay? So that you don't have to do what Bowtie Ben did in his first week of real estate. So my first week of real estate, I held an open house. And it was we'd planned, it was a team open house. But in the span of Saturday and Sunday, we had 250 people come through, 250. Now, for some reason, Ben got all of the leads, which, hey, Ben's not complaining, but Ben was too scared to follow up until about a month later when I finally had my confidence. I called and yeah, I got a couple appointments, but then I started calling and hey, we met at the open house a month ago. Just wanted to see how your home search is going. Oh, Ben, I already bought. Oh, Ben, I'm under contract. Oh, Ben, 10 people who were unrepresented specifically had either bought or were under contract in a house, and I didn't follow up. If I had followed up, I would have had those 10 people. So let's put a little more pain into this. So in my area at that time, the average commission was about $9,000. So I had 10 people at $9,000 in my first week of real estate. I lost out on $90,000. Now, some of us are on teams, so it's half that. So, if we're on a team, I lost out on $45,000. But I don't know about you, but that still hurts me to this day. Does it hurt anybody else? If you don't take anything from this, follow up. We call it the big FU, follow up. We say it there so we don't have to say it to our wallets later. Okay, so follow up. That's so important because that is where you will win. Because here's the reality of open houses. You will find some now business, right? You'll find some now business and it'll be wonderful. But in reality, we are building our database from open houses. So we are building our database, and a lot of those people will sell a house to 6, 9, 12 months later. My longest person that I sold to, they bought a house a year and a half later, but I continued to follow up. So remember, it's now and future business. So we're building our pipelines. The other piece, the last piece here is reevaluate the goals you set. Did you hit your goals? Yes, no. Did I succeed in it? Yes, fantastic. I'm going to stick with this. No, okay. What do I need to change? Is it an area, or do I just need to try this place a couple more times? What am I going to change for next time as well? So these are the different pieces that we need to look at. We're going to move into some ahas for Oh, we have an activity for planning an open house. I'm going to skip this for now. And what I would say is if you're wanting to do an open house this week, go to your MLS and pick 5 houses that, hey, I'd like to hold it open. And I'm going to pop this link in the chat here. This is a folder, and this folder has open house materials, videos, classes, and scripts. One of the scripts is calling to get an open house. Try calling 5 people and just see what happens. You might get a no, you might get a yes. Either way, it's a win. So with that, what ahas from our prepare, plan, and be purposeful? Let's hear, I'm gonna hear 5 ahas.
I like the have you already signed to a great agent? And it's like, just go ahead and have your paperwork ready. So if they say no, have them to sign in with you at that moment.
Totally. And I always do this. So one great story I have from that is I said, hey, I asked them the question, hey, what do you think? Do you want to buy this house? And they said yes. And I internally went, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, screamed a little bit. And then I said, okay, fantastic. Have you already signed with a great agent? And they said, no, but I've been looking at some houses with one. I said, oh, okay. Have you signed? No, we haven't signed anything. Okay, great. So what are you doing today at 3 o'clock? My open house is done at 2:30. Oh, well, nothing. I'm not so sure if our pre-approval might not work anymore. Oh, no worries. I'll have my lender meet us as well. 2.5 hours later, signed, pre-approved, under contract. Okay. They had an agent, but the agent didn't sign. So, big thing here as well, sign your buyers. Sign your buyers, sign your buyers. Follow up soon after the house, not after a month. Yeah. Rub that one in a little bit. Yes.
So is that like usually how you go about it if there are not signed? Or do you usually have paperwork and you try to have them sign there? Because I kind of find that it might come off like a bit pushy, but I don't know how you go about it. So that's what I'm asking.
That's a fantastic question. And I think it's really depends on the conversation and what rapport we've built. If the rapport is better for, hey, let's set an appointment and we'll sign at the appointment, then absolutely. If the conversation has felt correct and we feel like we're in a good spot, yeah, I'll sign them at an open house. I'll have a few exclusives right to buys at the appointment, at the open house, but it's going to depend on how's the rapport that we've built. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Fantastic question. Okay, let's hear 3 other ahas.
Mine was that to still utilize Zoom a little bit, because I feel like if it's easier for people, they're more apt to do it.
Totally. I love that. And like I said, you can build just as much rapport and relation on Zoom as you can in person. Do you think you might feel just a smidge more connected if we were in person, but in reality, it's still just about asking questions. So good. I love that. 2 more.
Kind of like keep your agent on or your lender on speed dial if you're.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to your lender partners. Say, hey, if I ever called you during an appointment and said, hey, will you talk to this client? Would you be okay with that? None of them will say no, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, please do that. You could literally be in your appointment with your buyer and then say, hey, you know what? How about I just give my lender a call? Let's just start the conversation. You don't even need, if you want to build, do a credit pull, great. But if you don't, let's just start that process. I'll call them right now. Hi, lender. It's Bowtie Ben. I'm sitting here with a client. They had some questions. Do you have a few minutes to speak? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or no, I'll call you back in about 10 minutes. Hand it over. Works all the time. Tell me more about that. Absolutely. Okay, one more.
I like, do you want to buy this house? Because that puts them on the spot, and then that helps you know how serious they are about looking, whether it be now or in the future.
I love that. So on that, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to open up some breakout rooms, and we are going to have, I'm going to give us 7 minutes. Okay. So in the 7 minutes, what's going to happen is you are going to practice that conversation with your partner. And if your partner says no, great, then do a tell me more about that. Are you looking? Try and ask a couple other questions, but do the, hey, do you want to buy this house? They're going to say no, because most of the time they will say no. And then you're going to say, okay, so what would you change about this house that make you want to buy it? Hey, you know what? Maybe I'm a neighbor. Okay, great. What would you change about this house? Make you want to sell your house and buy this one? Okay, so you're going to practice with a partner. Go back and forth with the do you want to buy this house question. Any questions before I open some breakout rooms? We're going to 5 to 7 minutes. So any questions before I open these up?
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we know which breakout room we're going to?
Great question. It's signed automatically. You'll have a little thing that'll pop up. If you're on your phone, it'll pop up on your phone. If it's on your if you're on your computer, it'll pop up on your computer. It does mean you're going to have to talk to the person that you're partnered with. I have to recreate the rooms. Oh no. Why did it? Okay, there we go. So before we move forward into the next little piece here, any ahas or shout outs or anything from just our role play real quick here?
So I haven't done a lot of like script reading, which is something I was talking about with my partner. So that was kind of helpful for me in the sense of it made me feel a little bit more comfortable talking to someone else that I didn't know necessarily.
Yeah. I love it. That's why I love scripts and role play. Here's a really interesting thing I was told very early in my career. It was, hey, Ben, if you want to get good at something, teach it. I was like, okay, tell me more. And they're like, well, if you teach it means you got to know what you're doing, right? And I said, okay. So from month 3 forward, I started teaching scripts daily. And what did that actually mean? It meant, hey, I have a script that I've printed out. We're going to practice this one today. So see if you could just practice teaching it. Talk to your market center. Hey, do we have scripts running? Well, I want to run it. And then you're forced to practice your script. So good. I love that. Thank you, Faith. Any other ahas from our practice? Does anyone feel like they're being super salesy with, do you want to buy this house? No, it's not. It seems like it's a salesy question, but in reality, you could say it as silly as you want, right? So what you think? You want to buy this house? Whatever your comfort is. So before we move into the next section, actually, in this next section, I jumping ahead in my mind, I want to talk about a couple other things that aren't exactly in this PowerPoint that I think are still important. So one of the things that I'm asked a lot is, Ben, what do I bring to an open house? So what do I bring to an open house? And here's what I would recommend bringing to your open house. Bring sign-in paperwork, business cards if you have them. If you don't worry, you have a digital one that you can text people. Now, this next one, some people feel a certain way about, and I feel very certain about. I do not bring food or beverage with me. I don't bring cookies. I don't bring snacks. I don't bring water. I don't bring lemonade. Because are they there to eat my cookies and snacks and drink my lemonade? No, they're there to see the house. And at the end of the day, you want to know who ate all those cookies, snacks, and lemonade? It was me, and I gained 5 pounds. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make cookies every open house. I got a whole roll of cookie dough, and I was doing 3 open houses a week. So I ate 3 rolls of cookie dough every week. Maybe might give or take a few cookies, right? People aren't there for the snacks. Don't bring them. If you really are like, I gotta have something, great. Buy a bag of candy, put it in a bowl on the table, a small bowl. You don't even need to pour the whole thing out, and then leave it out there for the couple people that want it. Water, if it's extremely hot in your area, yeah, buy some water bottles. I think the full-size ones are usually cheaper than the tiny ones. Once again, don't spend a lot of money that you're not making yet. I'm a really big proponent of that. Don't go and spend money that you're not bringing in. If you need to, make a small investment here or there, but try to not spend a lot, okay? The next piece is this is a personal preference, but I always bring music. Now, if you bring music, personal recommendations are, if you have Spotify, there's a playlist called Coffee Shop Jazz. It's a great playlist on Spotify. The next one, there's a group, it's called Postmodern Jukebox. Postmodern Jukebox. And what they do is they take your popular songs, and think of anything, your Lizzo, your Justin Bieber, your One Republic, and they turn it into like a 20s style swing style of song. And they make it clean. My favorite example of this one, it was the funniest one that I found on the list. There was a song by Nicki Minaj years ago, like 4 or 5, called Anaconda. And if anybody who knows that song knows it is not an appropriate song, they make it appropriate and kind of funny. So they're a great band, and they're fun to have in the background. And then it's kind of like the effect of when you're walking around and you hear like the string version of a popular song, you see a lot of faces do that. So it's fun and it's clean. So that's as far as music. One other thing that I bring, because we don't know how long your open house is, and we don't know how long you're going to be. We don't know how many people for sure are going to show up. So bring a way to lead generate. Do not just stand at the open house and do nothing for 2 hours, 3 hours, 7 hours, however long you're there. So if you have a list of names to call, or if you need to call your sphere, or if you can get some kind of something to call, bring it with you. Do not just sit there for 2 hours, right? Sit there and bring something with you to do. Maybe it's, hey, you know what? I know I'm going to need to work on my database at this time. If you're planning to work on your database, make sure you know you're going to have internet, because you're not always guaranteed to have internet without asking. If you go to a vacant house, there's not internet. So make sure to bring something with you. One other thing I didn't talk about in the preparing stage is something called circle calling that you can do. And a circle calling, my script for circle calling is almost identical to my door knocking for open houses script. But a circle call is what you do is you take a point on a map and you get a circle around it and you get names, addresses, and often phone numbers. If you don't have a way to pull that data, talk to your title rep. A lot of times title representatives can pull that data with a number. Now, that is one of those areas that you have to pay for. That's not a free thing. The other thing you can do is you can go to different data services. And I'm not advocating for anything in specific, so please don't take any advocating. But there's services like Landvoice, Mojo. You don't have to pay for like dialers, just pay for the data, and you can pull a neighborhood list. Talk to your market center, see if they've got something. Some market centers have ways to pull a neighborhood list. See what options are available to you to get a list so you can just start calling while you're at the open house. Do not spend the whole time at the open house just sitting there twiddling on your phone, unless you're using that as an opportunity to lead generate. Okay. The next piece that we also didn't talk about is social media. Now, I don't care if you're for or against social media. We are in 2023. If you do not have a social media presence, get one, even if it's the most basic. Okay. I don't care if it's the most basic thing, but something to start doing, and this will make a lot of you very uncomfortable. But what do we talk about if we haven't? You want to get comfortable being uncomfortable, okay? So this one will make a lot of you uncomfortable, but it's do a social media live video at the open house, okay? And I watched a lot of faces go like this. Do it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. This does a lot of things for you. First, if you do the open house live video, you can do it whatever you want. You could do a tour, you could do a little preview, you could do whatever it is you want to do. And here's what that does. One, it shows that you're doing this, right? It shows to your sphere, the people that follow you, friends with you, whatever it is, they want to see what you're doing, okay? So it shows them. The next thing is it shows the real you. This is why I say do a live and not a recorded video. So if you're walking around that house in your live video and you trip, great. If you doing a live video and you just forget what you're trying to say, great. What do we like to see? We like to see the real people, not the recorded, not the practice, not that. We want to see the real. Now, after you do that 3, 4, 7, 12, 25 times, yeah, it's going to look pretty natural and you're going to do pretty well. You'll still make mistakes, and that's okay. People start to look forward to those. So if you're on Instagram, do Instagram. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, any of that. Yes, I see your question.
But for some, after you finish the lives, for some website or apps such as like Instagram, after you finish the live, they can't see it anymore. So how would that be?
I feel like there's usually a way to save the video to your phone on most of them, but you can at least post it to your story on Instagram. So if you're Instagram, you can do the live and you should be able to post it to your story afterwards. If you're on Instagram or one of those other ones and it won't let you, well, then what you need to do is then do it again recorded. So do it once live and then do it recorded is what I would say, but still do the live. It'll go a long way. Bring something with you. Do a live video and bring people with you as well. Okay, maybe you bring another real estate agent with you. Guess what? Maybe you spend the whole 2 hours just practicing your scripts. That's a worthwhile use of your time, right? Practice, practice, practice. Now, the other thing that I'm going to talk about is as we're preparing, it's signs. Okay. So I said, go out. If you don't have signs, borrow signs. This is one of the only things that I would recommend. If you were like, hey, you know what? I want to do open houses. I want to make them my thing. Go and get yourself some signs if there's not ones for you to borrow. And my minimum amount of signs for every open house is 20 signs. Okay. And that's the teaching minimum. I have a different minimum for people who have done this for a little while. And here's why. So we are going to look at, and we're going to say this, and this is going to be a very bad drawing. So we have our main street, and we're going to say our open house is right over here. Okay. So what I will do is I will put out 3 signs at every intersection for 3 intersections before in either direction. So let's just say, my apologies for my bad drawing here. So I start 3 intersections before in either direction, and I'm trying to do 3 at each. And here's why. If I am just looking to come this way, let's say I'm a car driving down this way, and I just see one sign that is right here. There's a sign here, and there's a sign here, and maybe a sign here. If I'm driving down the road and I go, oh, hey, look, there's an open house, but oh, I missed it, because I don't feel like trying to turn. If I do 3 intersections before, so here's intersection 1, 2, and then 3 is up here, up above that, they'll go, oh, hey, look, there's an open house. Oh, okay. Oh, it's up this way. Great. I'm kind of looking for it. And the second intersection happens. They're still looking, keep an eye out. Oh, okay. I'm still looking. Oh, and I found it. So when you do the 3 intersections before in either direction, you're going to get a lot more traction. And what I found for my open houses for people coming in, as I can take whatever I've put out as signs, multiply that by 10%, and that's how many people I can usually guarantee to get in. So to give you a good example of that, the more signs I've put out, the better my open house is on the day of. We do have to remember, open house is not just the day of, it's everything up to that point. But one of my best day ofs, not including that first week one, which I call a fluke. I don't know how it happened. My second best, I had 175 people come through. I had almost 150 signs out. That's a great question. And it's a little hard to do on a whiteboard. And so what I have is I just have signs that point like this. And if I'm doing 3 intersections before, I will put the ones that are a little bit before it more of like an angle. So they're pointing kind of like that. So that people see, go forward in either direction. So intersection, if mine's at A Street, I'll put one at B Street, at C Street, and then at 1 Street, 2 Street, 3 Street, so that I can see people coming from either direction. The other piece of that is pick a main road, right? So find what's the main road that people are coming from, and I'm going to focus on that road. If I put focus on 7 different roads, I'm going to have a split focus. Sometimes maybe there's a grocery store that's nearby. Maybe I'll start my signs at that grocery store so people can see, hey, there's an open house this way. I'm going to start looking for that. So what are the big areas that you can start putting out signs? What I'll tell you is you can get 20 signs out in about 30 minutes. But it'll take a little bit of practice. The first time you try and put out 20 signs, it'll take you an hour and a half, right? Because you're learning. How do I do it? I've made my map. I've gone through, I've looked at my signage, and now I've put out my signs. Now, if you don't have 20 signs, great, start out with 10. If you don't have 10, start with 5. Can you get 1 sign better next time? But the more signs you have, the more people will come in. Signs are a really big thing. And so, like I said, things that weren't in this little PowerPoint. Signs, music, don't bring food, and do some circle calling. Talk to your title representatives to get the list, or find a data system. Don't spend a lot of money on it, because a list can last you a while. So of those things that I've talked about, any questions about the different pieces that I've talked about there?
I don't have a question, but you said you put out 150 signs. What'd you say?
Yeah. So when I did on the one that got me the most. Here's what I'll tell you. When I was doing 3 open houses a week, I was putting out 60 signs per open house. I would average between 5 and 8 people between every open house. I could get 60 signs out in about an hour. You learn your systems, you get practiced, and it's very doable.
You're
And
giving some signs away so we can have some.
yeah, nope, sorry, not today. And here's, I'm not saying go out and buy 60 signs today, right? If you need to make any investment, go and buy five signs, or see if you can borrow 5 signs. Talk to your top team in the office. Hey, do you have signs I could borrow? How many do you have?
I believe they all together, they have 5 signs, so all
Great,
the.
well, they're slacking. I've beat out top teams in my area by my signage. People come to my open houses instead of other teams.
Are you using the big foldable metal tent signs? That's what I'm picturing in my head. That how do you even fit that in a car?
No, I'm using the ones that have 2 little poles and they stick in the ground. Because the A-frames, those are expensive. A-frames are usually like $70 a sign. So the ones, it's just got like 2 little poles and it's got a little thing on the top and it says open house. And you can get the most basic versions at like Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever your local hardware store is. The Red Store, you could find some. Now, if you want more specific, more specialized signs, those are going to cost more. So start out with just the most basic stuff. Talk to your market center. Hey, market center, I want to be really intentional about open houses. Would you be willing to invest into open house signs that could be checked out by agents? Worst that they say is no. But if they say yes, then of course you don't have to spend money. Though that market center could put their phone number and get a little marketing to the market center to do some open house signs. Talk to your PC coach. Hey, PC coach, would you be willing to buy open house signs for the PC program for agents to rent out? Our PC program, we bought 200 signs for our agents to check out. Now, not every PC program can do that, but it always starts with ask who you can borrow signs from. Hey, can I go out and buy 1 sign today? Can I go out and buy 5? My goal is that maybe in 3 months I'll be able to buy 20. The more the better, though, is what I'll say. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to move on. As we're kind of wrapping up this piece, we have these questions that it's got on here. You know, how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new? What do you feel differently about open houses? What was meaningful to you today? How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? What tools, models, or systems will you use? How will they make you accountable? So I want you to, in your notebooks if you have them, or if you've printed out the materials, use that, or just on a piece of paper. I want you to, let's take 3 minutes. So it's 6:10, so it's 6:13. We'll come back into this. Write down your answers to these questions. So, oh, I'm not showing my screen. I'm sorry. Hi, my name's Ben. It's my first day presenting. Okay, let's try this again. We have 4 questions here. Write down your answers. And so we'll come back at 6:14. All right, continue writing if you're still writing your answers. Would anybody like to share their answers to these questions? Any of the questions? One of the big things that we didn't talk about too much today is utilizing command. So command is your best friend. It is a great database system that you already pay for. So if you're not using it, start using it today. If you don't know how to use it, try and spend 5 minutes a day on command. Utilize it as the great tool that it is. Talk to your market center tech trainer. Hey, would you be willing to spend half an hour with me going over different pieces of command, how I should be using this efficiently? If you don't have time for that, just spend 5 minutes a day. Pick a spot and just try and mess with it. Utilize your tools so you can be consistent in your follow-up, consistent in your open houses, be consistent in your activities. We have our success system that we've talked about. Hopefully we've talked about in the other Ignite sessions. We have our 10 conversations, our 10 contacts added, our 10 handwritten note cards. So continue developing, keep moving with the habits that you've already spoken, that you've already done. And if this is your first time hearing about it, great. Continue to join in every Tuesday at 6:30. I think it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Mountain. So continue doing it. Hey, what does it look like if I can have 10 conversations a day? I'm not going too deep into this. Don't get on America's Most Wanted. Don't call the do not call. It's not a joke. You will get in trouble. Just don't risk it. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. I think that's a great quote to kind of end here with is people are happy to be in relationship with me. I dig 3 questions deep. I build rapport. I want to thank you all for your time here today. I'm going to share the Drive link once again. So it's all of my open house resources, also my email and my phone number. So if you would like to join in on our daily scripts call starting next week, shoot me an email and I'll shoot you the information and add you to our list. We do a Zoom scripts call every day from 8:30 to 9 Mountain Time. So wherever you are, look at what that looks like, see if it fits into your schedule. If you have any questions about open houses, any questions in general, please reach out, let me know. If you need a great agent in Denver, Colorado, well, now you know one. Any other closing questions before I let you all go today? Thank you all for being here. I think I'm teaching one other session. I don't remember which one it is. So I will look forward to seeing you then. Oh, yes.
One question about do not call list. How can we know that some number is on that list?
It's a great question. Talk to your market center, see if they have a way to scrub from the do not call. If someone gives you their phone number at an open house, you call them. If they say, I'm on the do not call, please don't call me again. You say, okay, I'm sorry, have a great day. But if someone gives you their number and they don't bring that up.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thank you for everything.
Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, Ben. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Have a good night.
Thanks everyone for your help. Thank you.